Recording is on. Welcome, everybody. This is Dr. Zoo, 30th of April, Thursday, 2026. It's good to be back. That was a bit of a scary proposition there. So let's get right into it with all the updates, what we're doing, what we have been doing. Plenty to talk about today. Now, first of all, for all those newbies that have been coming through thick and fast, just make sure that if you have any query whatsoever, it's no point texting or contacting after hours Dr. Zoo. Dr. Zoo needs to get a lot of rest. Very tired. Got a lot of things coming up. But support@zutopia.com. That's if you have a Zutopia issue on your apps. If you have something that's going on with your Zucoins, then it is support@zucoins.com. Just follow that one up, people. Most importantly, make sure that before you think about switching phones, you have backed up your Zucoin wallet, because you could lose your coins and that's the end of it. That is going to be good for those that have coins, but not good for those that lose the coins. The less coins out there, that means the more valuable they are for everybody else. You have the responsibility, and we've talked about that. The backup is front and center when you open the new Zucoin wallet. No question whatsoever. It also has a notice that comes up. It has plenty of information on the website. We talk about backing it up, at least worst case scenario, into your files on your phone. Putting it into iCloud would be fantastic because you can switch it between one phone to the other. Even better still is on a USB, if that can connect to your phone, or you email it to your hard drive and leave it on your computer hard drives. But whatever you do with it, back it up. Easy to restore, no problems whatsoever. So just follow that, or if you do, before you wander into that territory of switching phones, make sure you are sensible enough that you're comfortable enough with those backups, because that's going to be a real problem when you come and try and contact us, because there's no such thing in the crypto world as a refund. And I may remind you people, it's exactly like the analogy that when you go to the ATM machine and you speak to Mr. ATM and you take out $100, you put that in your back pocket, that is your $100, your responsibility. That responsibility means you don't want to give it to anybody unless you intend that $100 to go somewhere, and you certainly do not want to lose your wallet or your $100. But if you do, and you go and try and have a chat to the ATM machine man again, just tell Dr. Zoo how that goes. So if you see people down the street chatting to the ATM machines asking for refunds, Dr. Zoo would love to see some of those videos on social media of people chatting to ATM machines getting refunds, because that will become a absolute game changer if we can all stand outside the front of an ATM and get a refund. Does not happen. Now, someone's just lost the audio. I'm hoping that the audio is still happening. Still got the audio there. Okay, that means it's not Dr. Zoo's issue. Now, before we get really kickstart and all the information and the questions are coming through as to what's happening, where we're at and what's going on, it was brought to Dr. Zoo's attention today. Now, we're going to see if this will work. So just sit tight. Let's see if it'll come through. And we want to see two things that you can listen to, and then this will be relevant to our whole journey as we go closer and wanting to edge closer to Dr. Zoo's G800 Gulfstream on the Aubrey tarmac, because that means if that's out there, you guys are going to be very happy little Vegemites on all fronts. So just see if we can firstly listen to this, and then we'll keep going. So here we go. Here we go. No, never fails, does it? So we're going to have to play with this a bit more, because that is certainly got no sound whizzing through on that front. unless you guys can hear that. I certainly can't get any feedback, but let's just nothing yet. All right, we've tried that little experiment. We're going to get the team to have a look at that, but that takes out of the picture. Nothing yet. All right, we've tried that little experiment. We're going to get the team to have a look at that, but that takes out of the picture. Deck the Halls is back in the Mekong. We've got our great friends up there in the Mekong with all the elephants here. So appreciate that. We know who you are. No dramas at all. Okay, well, that didn't, that failed as well. We're trying to get that sound across. We'll work out that one a bit later. I can't see how that could have possibly failed on that front, but it did. I was going to surprise you with something, but I won't now. We'll have to leave it till Monday. People, bit of an odd day today. Trying to get this thing sorted. The next thing, of course, is where we're up to. The statistics are amazing. The onboarding has been getting stronger, I've got to say, much stronger in the last few days. And there's no way Riley's going to allow pressing any buttons for actual trading today. That won't happen. So you will most likely see that sort of stuff happening next week, I'd say. Riley's happy with things, but we've had about 250 email queries over the last 24, 48 hours, and they're not major issues, but certainly they're enough to slow us down a little bit. And most of it is centered around, no sounds. Anyway, I'll have to keep going here. Helpful creature. Don't know what that means, as expected, but that's all right. We're back on there, so let's hope that's all good. Most of them have been around the Apple phone in the interconnectivity with the Zutopia. And we've got a few things we're tweaking over the weekend on that one. So we'll just see how that goes. But if you are on an Android, then you have been sitting pretty sweet, because the Android is and has been working very well indeed. Basically, the difference is Android has allowed the ability for deep links in its program, which means that when you go into Android, or rather if you go into Zucoin wallet and press the Zucoin icon, all the heavy lifting is done behind the scenes. Android allows it to happen, and basically you press install and you don't have to worry about the copy and paste of the codes between the two systems, and it miraculously pops up and you are off and running with your Android Zutopia app. So that's been very, very hugely successful. Apple, on the other hand, likes to keep control of things, even though, as you know, and I was going to play a bit of stuff there from Steve Jobs before, but that has failed, so we'll worry about that Monday. And yes, Timid Buddy, if we release new videos and tutorials, that's probably right. But if you've got some spare time, then by all means, you can send those tutorials. You might do some video clips yourself, because that's what peer systems are about, and send that to the team, support@zutopia.com, and I'm sure they will be gladly sending those out or putting them up for you, because we've done millions of this sort of stuff before and nobody bothers to read it or look at it. So that's one example. Yes, look, if you've got some great ideas on some videos and tutorials, then brilliant. You produce them, set up your new media division, and push those into support@zutopia.com, and we'll gladly release those even by emails or whatever. But we have had emails go out which show the screenshots of how to do it, all the rest of it, and it still hits a few little hurdles. So the numbers are this. Aside from the volume of email queries, which we're whittling our way through, since Friday last week, we now have nearly at our target of new accounts of 948 active new accounts that have completed the entire live onboarding process through to ticking the box of completion of KYC with Stripe. Now, what we've done is that's roughly 10% of the total of new wallets, which seems to be statistically the percentages to work off. So of about 8,500 new wallets, we've got sign-ups of new ones of 948 as of earlier today, which are working and looking perfect. So that percentage is at the lower end of where we want to be with 1,000 new accounts. And that's all for your benefit, because the more accounts we have active, ready to go, the more participation in trading, and the more it makes it easier for the silly sellers to look at selling and the buyers to come in and gobble those up. So we'll let that run through for a few more days over the weekend and early next week. Won't make much difference to where people are sitting, getting worried about going and pressing the green live button for trading. That won't make much difference at all, but it makes a lot of difference to us, because if we run on those percentages and we start pushing out 100,000, then we know we're going to be looking at 10,000 activations roughly on these statistics. So that's what we are concerned about, not worried about getting cheap sales across the line just for the sake of it, but we're very happy with that. So that gives us now a total new user base in Zutopia of 2,692 active users that have been KYC'd completed. So that is what is ready to go, and press that button. Now, if you want to contribute to the half glass empty world, then by all means, yes, you can share all of the excitement of your negative thought bubbles and continue to make all sorts of ridiculous, stupid comments as you see fit, which is fantastic, because Newton's third law: for every action, there's an equal opposite reaction. For every idiot, there's a smart person. For every negative person, there's a positive person. That is the wonderful concept of humanity. That is why the planet works and operates. It's like magnets. You get a negative magnet, and she locks and loads with a positive magnet. And in this case, we have said that we wanted to make sure we can follow the processes through. We went live on the 24th of April at 9 a.m. and we're working through the increase in those numbers, of which that registration of numbers comes from all over the joint. So don't worry your pretty heads about that. That is the level at 2,692 active, completed, onboarding, KYC ready to do their stuff and strut into trading. Because the trading will be anyone's dog's breakfast of what people want to do with their coins and how they sell and what they do. It is all about the concept in relation to making it work properly, because Dr. Zoo is more worried about now streamlining bits and pieces again, as he's always said, as Steve Jobs has always said about the consumer, making it frictionless. Then that is exactly why we take our time and do these things, because it makes it a lot easier down the road. Now, one of the issues that the team is looking at over the weekend, and I've started to allude to it earlier, is whilst Android is absolutely schmick, and it is schmick because it doesn't have that friction of users having to worry about how to copy and paste the code across through the cryptographic signature accessibility, which is unique to Zutopia and Zucoins. Then the issue is the way in which Apple controls the world, and Apple does have this reluctance to allow these deep links to remove that sort of copy and paste functionality between the Zucoin wallet and Zutopia. We think we have a solution for it. We'll play with it over the weekend. If not, then that's going to be the education process, which is why we haven't put out a lot of stuff on the material in any great sense yet, because if we produce these videos now and it has to change again over the weekend while we're in this phase, then it means there's a whole lot of wasted time and we've got to redo the stuff and then re-put it back on the website. So just be patient. If you are in that smarty category and you're very happy and you've completed the online live onboarding, congratulations, legends. Sit tight and wait for Riley to press that button that everyone else gets the opportunity to be in the same boat. So that's the process in the next few days of that, even though we have achieved our goals of the level of active KYC users successfully getting through. Because if you recall, during the soft launch phase, that was more about ticking the boxes to make sure that we weren't going to get ripped off from naughty people that were trying to reverse transactions, making sure that the coins were 100% transitioning from a seller to a buyer, making sure that the funds were locked up in pre-authorization and that there were no chargebacks and reversals, which is the first time that's ever happened in the crypto exchange space. And as a result of that, we were able to conquer those issues so nobody loses money. Because at the end of the day, it's your coins, it's your money, and we don't want people being in a position where the first whinge is that, I didn't follow this or do that. And of course, they want to go to the ATM machine and get a refund from the automated ATM machine that's sitting in the wall down there by Westpac. It does not happen, people, in the sovereign world of this crypto space. But follow the processes and it all works brilliantly. So leave that with the team over the weekend on that particular front. That should make it far more interesting. If you've got to remember, during that soft launch phase, there was only ever actually pretty well about 200 active traders that shot the volume of coins, about 3.18 million Zucoins changed hands, a few $1 million, $3 million odd roughly, at varying prices. We had a high of 105, lows of about 50 cents during that course of that trading period. And that soft launch phase was extraordinarily amazing for the issues that we'd solved, and in particular was only about 200 active traders. So now we're nudging a 10x, which in theory should give us 10x volumes, we think. Initially, that'll clean up and tidy up a lot of the silly seller stuff pretty quickly when Riley does press that button. Given that I said, there's no hurry. I said, Riley, listen, you get it right. You don't need to listen to the waffle. We're not in the negative pool of wallow at the moment. We follow our course of action, and that course of action is for the longer term as to what we are putting in train. So that follows that process. Which brings me back to, we had some really great questions last Dr. Zoo session about one of our participants, one of our Zucoin holders, trying to give us some feedback or a lecture or whatever you want to call it in relation to why we should be looking at the centralized exchanges and why we should be looking at the decentralized exchanges and why they're better and all the rest of the waffle that went on with. But we have pushed out today, just for the sake of clarity, for the sake of informed information that was being put together. Yes, here we go. What happened to the 20,000? Well, we haven't got them yet. Pretty easy. We said minimum of 1,000 to 20,000, and that's 8,500 that we've got new wallets, of which we have received a 10% success rate going through it. So not blaming Apple. We're just telling you what Apple does and how to fix that for the sake of getting it up. But that doesn't mean to say 20,000. That's a terrible low number, by the way. That's Excited Champion, if you're listening. 20,000 is a shocking number. What we want is 10 million. So you might redo your little item there and change that. What happened to 10 million? And the 10 million is what we're targeting down the road. So yeah, I'd be disappointed with 20,000. This is more about getting this thing proven technology that allows for the ability to trade without the issues, to look after your interest, excited champion. And your interests are that you don't lose coins, that you get your money. You don't have to worry about the issues that are facing centralized and decentralized exchanges, which that email went out today. If you haven't got it, it is on the website at zucoins.com, and you can see that under the ZUAI section. That's Article 29, and that'll tell you why we have taken this course, why we spent the money on Zutopia, why it's going to be absolutely sensational and has been with instant trading. What we don't have any interest in is that if you have your fellow Zucoin holders that are buying and selling high or low, that is entirely a matter for what's called the free market. Now, the free market is an interesting thing. You know, I was watching a show the other day, people, about how the free market, capitalism, the home of capitalism, wasn't New York City. It was Amsterdam in about the year 1608. Actually, a bit earlier than that, a group of people got together and decided that they'd create things that then are what are called company structures today. And they had a free market where they were trading each other's new interests in the big companies that they set up then to go exploring, looking for spices across the world. And they traded on a bridge, talking to each other, passing money, getting their sign off in terms of what shares they did or didn't think they owned. And they had that free market, whatever prices they wanted. And off they went. And that became the beginnings and the birth of capitalism and stock exchanges as a free market. And that philosophy has worked its way all the way through to what we've created in terms of Zutopia. So the testing relates to, which is all about, and the process of getting and marrying in that accommodates that you guys can make it work, which is happening. And a few days is neither here nor there extra to make that work. So if people aren't happy, nothing is stopping anybody from outdoing Dr. Zoo and creating your own platform. It's not hard. What you do is it's called stumping up money. It's called getting your own developers together and building those out. And we would gladly assist in the sense of moving people and these sort of commentaries across to your new platforms, because that's what the peer market is about. It's about the coin has been fully operational for 3.5 to 4 years. Zucoin wallet works brilliantly. The delivery of instant transfers is unbelievable. Nothing in the world has that. The security that's been provided in terms of the backups, the losses that have been incurred on these exchanges over the journey, and also other coins, and the list is massive. So, you know, look, you've got to do your own homework. You could sit there and moan and carry on about, you know, Solana, since its all-time high, is down 70.9%. Ripple is down 63.1%. Zcash is down 94.2%. Avalanche is down 93.5%. I mean, the list goes on and on. The list goes on and on, people. So just relax. Just, you know, just sit back and away you go. So, yes, and we've got that comment there about confident April. Well, it's happened in April, so it's been delivered. The Zutopia app is live. You are building up and getting your fellow Zuconians to be able to participate by getting them across the line. It's sort of like, it's a bit like the American Marines. You don't leave a man, by himself in the middle of Iran, left there, that falls out of the pot, that comes out of the plane, and you just want to let him go. You've got to look at your fellow Zuconians that have come in the early part of the journey and give other people the chance to understand the technology and make it work for them. And the onboarding, live onboarding, is what's happened. That is what that process is achieved. That, albeit the Android is starting to smash it and come out of the blocks, but 2,692 active KYC'd total user base, our new total user base ready, is a very good achievement. It's 10x more than what we had in earlier trading, and it's going to continue to build up as we continue to iron out some of the things where people have coming in and making it work. Now, Timid Buddy, there's nothing to be treating you like an idiot. You've just got to wait. You know, if you're not happy, you know, turn the phone off, put it away, go somewhere else, and go and have a chat to the Melania or Trump coins. All right? The site and the Zutopia app is live. Zucoins has been live for 3.5, 4 years. You could have been trading in your own time. You don't need us. You could have your own peer-to-peer market, and away you go. Now, if a few days of next week, post-April, is going to dramatically affect your life, well, I'm afraid you need a new life, Timid Buddy. You've obviously got some issues at home. You've got some problems, and you just need help. You know, you don't want to assist your fellow Zuconians who are onboarding as we speak. Alternatively, maybe you're looking for a part-time job, and maybe we should get Riley to redirect this last 24 hours of 250 email inquiries to you, and you can participate. How about that? How about that, Timid Buddy? So, and I'm glad you can do KYC. It means that you've succeeded in Stripe's requirements to achieve the outcome that you believe you're ready to trade. And if you're ready, fantastic. Fantastic. And the bottom line is, yeah, look, it's if you've got solutions, Timid Buddy, you are more than welcome to invent and create new technology and do your own thing. It's fantastic. The good news is, as I've said many occasions before, when you buy that bottle of Grange and you've got your coins, you've got the Zucoin wallet, you've got the ability to trade, you've got the ability to create your own network, got the ability to create your own marketing, your own social media. Don't get me wrong, Dr. Zoo is not holding you back. He doesn't hold anybody back. What he does is he sets out on his course to look to the bigger picture, because the bigger picture is what's been clearly and transparently put on the sites. It's all about fractionalization. It's about the Zukaz. It's about the ability for merchants and onboarding and making it easy for millions to get on board. Or they can all ring Timid Buddy. Timid Buddy can take the hit, and away you go. Away you go. So this is our plan of how we do it. This is how it works successfully. I don't think you took the risks on the reversals and chargebacks, because on the last lot of KYC, we had to accelerate that, Timid Buddy, just so you know, because there were some naughty people out there, and those naughty people were trying to con their way out of the KYC with Stripe by saying they never did the transactions, and therefore trying to get their hands and their grubby hands on coins and money. They're coming from all sorts of weird and wonderful places. And those wonderful places were places that you've got Buckley's hope of recovering money from. Africa, South America, some of those wonderful peoples down there in Colombia and all the rest of it. Now, when you think about it, and you've got to overcome those problems, then that's exactly why, these things take time. Now, look, Wandering Newbie's quite on the money here. He's got no one is arguing with you. Why overpromise and underdeliver? We never overpromise and we never underdeliver. What we do is we give you what the timelines are, and we are in the hands of two things, of which we qualify everything we've done over the many years now. And one, you're dealing with other people that may not be as competent as what you are in how they're handling the technology. And they deserve every right, because a lot of those people have put a far greater sums of money than many others that are floating out there. And we know that there's quite a few younger ones that have got free coins and desperately want to get their next car or pay their rent. We appreciate that. And this is a way of doing that. And that came from the earlier free drops that we did many years ago. So we understand that. Now, everything is governed by two very simple things. One, the technology and the coding, which can be a lot more difficult and harder. We started out putting dates, exact times and things a long time ago, and that doesn't work because then these factors come into play. It's pretty simple. Dr. Zoo doesn't code. Oh, he'd love to. And in fact, in the future, you will be able to finalize many of these new technologies and deadlines by talking to another AI person and see how that goes. It's a bit like knocking your head against the wall with the ATM machine. Right? If you can convince the ATM machine, if there's anybody out there that can convince an ATM machine to get a refund, then we'll all pack up and go home, because that is exactly the analogy that we're talking about. It's not over-promising, under-delivering. We're promising to deliver what we can in the timelines that we suggest as our estimates based on those two factors. And what are the two factors? One, people, your fellow Zucoin people, how they handle the processes. That's why we split this up into two parts of the live. And you're carrying on about a few days. I mean, Dr. Zoo doesn't care about that. Yes, it'll get turned on. What Dr. Zoo cares about is that the processes that we've come to are so unbelievably extraordinarily great that one day you'll realize that even the impact, we talked about the push notifications. 390,000 lines of code had to be changed to 21,000 to make that work for instant transfers, which affects all of the long-term vision of Zucoins and obviously Zutopia and merchants. Now, you guys don't care about that. Not all of you, but some of you, these ones that Timid and all the rest of them. You just expect and demand that that's going to happen. Yes, and we haven't given dates and times before. End of story. All right. We've gone live in April as to what we wanted. And sure enough, if the numbers were a lot higher, well, Riley might have turned it on today in terms of the trading button. The Zutopia app is live, and we are boarding people on in a live environment directly with Stripe. We're not wasting their time. We've got people that are coming on board from other countries and jurisdictions. That's why we're doing it, to see if there's any impacts across those statistics and analysis, which we've shared. And if they are, it's bad luck. It's not going to get turned on because someone wants to then start trading at 5 cents and be happy that it's up and running. It's going to get turned on because we know we can accommodate with the mass marketing we're going to be doing and all the rest of it, that we don't have to have, imagine it, 250 emails in the last 24 hours, and that blows out to 2.5 million. You got to be joking. We're not interested in 2.5 million new queries. As I said before, one of the dreams of Dr. Zoo is to turn the support desk off. Turn it off. So you've just got to be patient with it, which you've been doing. There's fantastic people that have come in a lot earlier than some of the people in the process. You won't be happy when it's opening for trading anyway, because you're going to have some people there that have had various pockets of coins that the prices that'll be the next thing of people carrying on about the price. Well, go out there and do something and share the news and get people to come on board and join with Zucoin wallet and join with Zutopia. Now, once you've done that, come back with some numbers and tell us exactly how many you've onboarded and if it's been difficult or not. I mean, Dr. Zoo spent an hour and a half with one gentleman on Anzac Day, working his way through onboarding in his late 60s. He's not tech savvy. And that's the sort of support service we don't want. Dr. Zoo doesn't want to be doing support on Anzac Day of how to onboard an Apple phone connectivity because of the misunderstandings or non-understandings of how to copy and paste the secure code. So the compromise is you don't have a secure code. You think about it. You can have all the other onboarding that can come with normal onboarding. There could be biometrics. There could be looking at your eye sockets. There could be putting your thumbprint on it. There could be a whole range of things that people currently go through around the world today to try and lock in and create accounts with existing exchanges or banks. Now, that onboard process doesn't give you any greater sense of security. It doesn't keep the anonymous part of it going, which is unique to Zucoins and Zutopia, because we're not interested in retaining any of your personal data to minimize that effect, which would mean that you don't need to have the secure connectivity of a signature test between Zucoin wallet and Zutopia. We could eliminate that. And we might have had 10 million people on by now. And then we've had 10 million headaches. Because those people then go off and guess what's the first thing they do? They lose their passwords. They've had facial reconstruction or they've had lip suction and it doesn't recognize their face or their head. And there's an issue. And those issues build and build because of the current world we live in as to those sort of onboarding experiences. So it's not difficult. Riley will turn it on when he's good and damn and ready and happy. Now, we had the queries coming through about the dribble, which we alluded to earlier about the position in relation to other competitors and exchanges. Now, that's going to be put to bed because the email we sent out is factually clear, concise, transparent, and tells you why you have a unique position in the world with the experiences and the technology and the issues we've solved rather than putting them to one side and running down the same path as everybody else. You know, when you own your sovereign proprietary rights, which is these digital assets, you become responsible and it must be made easy because you will not be able to ring up somebody when there is a real issue, if there is an issue. If somebody transfers money from CommBank to the wrong account at the National Bank, you don't care because you ring up the CommBank and you demand and expect a refund for your own stupidity in sending it to the wrong BSP and account number. That does not happen in the real world of crypto. So those gaps have got to be closed. And the only way you do that is you perfect each aspect of the technology that's been delivered. And the technology that's been delivered has been ticking boxes like you wouldn't believe on Zucoins and now into Zutopia. So don't just throw away the summaries of why the decentralized exchanges and the centralized exchanges are so good, because they're not. Now, some years ago, as an example, we were looking for alternatives and other exchanges to list on. And one of those, quite up front and center at the convention we went to, was a little exchange, which is, it's, I'll just make sure that what I'm about to say is actually correct as I go back into it today, just to make sure. And one of those that we thought might be an opportunity for you guys to participate, which is, we didn't follow this through because it had a red flag at the time for Dr. Zoo, but one of them was an exchange called Elbait, E-L-B-A-I-T-E, elbait.com. You can look it up yourself. And it promotes itself as a non-custodial exchange that pushes itself away from the issues of the centralized exchanges. Now, however, when you dig into the terms and conditions of that particular exchange, and we know the owner very well, it tells you that the monies in relation to the sales is held in an escrow account, which is with an Australian-based bank, and as an escrow account, that gives you some protection. Now, well, there was an email sent out on Dr. Zoo, so it's not defensive. I'm not sounding defensive. I'm just standing up for what is the position in relation to the decisions we make at each step of the way, which has been the core function of Dr. Zoo for 7 years. Dr. Zoo runs on his line as to maximising the outcomes to make it easy and protection for all. And if people want to promote alternative views that come in hostile, then it's the old law of every action is an equal opposite reaction. So you want to participate in that level of conversation, then Dr. Zoo's quite happy to throw it back. So you put up with it or you don't put up with it. Pretty simple, really. That's how Dr. Zoo operates. Now, back to Elbait. In the terms and conditions, it clearly specifies that it's held in an escrow account. Now, that in itself is a custodial account of the fiat, of the money. And that flags a position that they are not completely non-custodial. And the question was asked at the time as to who controls that account. And it was the management of Elbait, 3 people, of which we don't know the names. Now, we're not suggesting anything untoward here, other than that technology adopted was standard practice across all these exchanges, including Elbait. Someone has to manage the coins and or the fiat, which puts at jeopardy your money. And if Dr. Zoo's come this far and is expecting to make a long-term and hasn't flinched one iota from the 20% calculation value of against Bitcoin or the Gulfstream at $1,000 a coin, that's never changed. And that is built around A, getting the technology spot on, B, being able to bring on the numbers that we know we can do as the only crypto in the world that can do that. Then, of course, that puts us in pretty good stead for how we can eliminate and remove the support desk and queries, because people have got the opportunity to make it work properly. So, and if we've got another comment there, boring. Well, that's fine. Boring is fine. We like boring. It means that at night time you'll be able to put your little head on a little pillow and on that fluffy pillow, and it'll put you to sleep, worldly citizen. It'll be fantastic. You'll be no issues with that at all. So that's entirely a part of your journey in life. And there's a lot of boring things, but I am sure, worldly citizen, that if you want to, remove yourself from the world of boring, then I would encourage you to book a flight into a number of jurisdictions, and you might decide to rock into some place like Tehran in Iran, or even, plonk yourself down there in Tel Aviv or Jerusalem. Gaza is quite nice this time of year, and you will certainly remove yourself from the status of boring into excitement. So there's plenty of options for you to play with that and elevate to a level of excitement that could be mind-blowing. In fact, what you could do is just go to Melbourne and visit Melbourne and walk around at 2 or 3 in the morning, and you'll certainly be in a position to enjoy the level of excitement down there, given that the latest rounds of machete collection hasn't worked. And even if you want to enjoy some excitement, going to a couple of nightclubs and they're providing extra curriculum activities where they're blowing the joints up and putting them on fire. So there's plenty to do, and you can take that opportunity. Basically, just turn your phone off. That'll sort that out. Coming back, it's an important position because it talks about what we sent out in relation to why we spent the time and money and effort on each step of the way with Zutopia. In Elbait's case, something's happened. Now, whether it's something untoward or not, or the way the processes work because they haven't ticked the boxes on the technology, or they've got problems where you've got to have this massive support that goes on. If you go to elbait.com right now and you want to log in, they put up that they're doing maintenance and will be back soon. Now, that was 4.5 weeks ago in that sense, without any explanation. Yes, Zutopia has had maintenance, and that's been very clearly put on the table because of where we've been positioning ourselves post the soft launch, which closed off in early December. And that's where we are on the reactivation of the official launch, which is out and about for everybody to get into the app, lock themselves in. And if you've got to wait a few more days or next week, well, so be it. That's if you are so desperate to trade and need that trading enthusiasm to come out. You can certainly do that right now in terms of getting yourself ready with the full onboarding experience that needs to be done. And in the process, because you don't care if that's the way you want to trade straight away, then you can leave your other Zuconians behind. And that means you've now just knocking out a big part of the market, of which those same very people and those same people will become trading partners that may or may not end up with your coins because you want to trade urgently. One thing that Dr. Zoo loves about this whole process as we go through the journey, which is fantastic. The greatest, there's been many achievements, but the biggest one was on 22nd of December, where we went live with the instant notifications, and we wouldn't be talking about this entire project if we haven't had that capacity to go instant. And that's instant trading is going to be one of the greatest features on Zutopia, which you cannot do with other exchanges unless you have custodial relationships and you can be in a position like poor old Elbait, for whatever reason, and there could be some great reasons, you can't even log in and access your account as of today for either your coins in Elbait or your money, right? So that's dead in the water. That doesn't happen with a 24/7 platform that allows you as individuals and peers to negotiate, negotiate and deal with all of the direct free market from around the world without having that fear that sits there, because these exchanges and crypto exchanges do not want to look after the retail sector. It's the retail that is you, small individuals, that have been burnt across the entire spectrum, both in terms of market manipulation, pump and dump schemes, values of coins that do nothing, no long-term prospectivity in terms of the utilization, no ability to integrate or merge with any sense of that whatsoever. So those very things is where you throw your money away, because there is no vision. There is nothing of any output value to a single crypto on the planet. If you want to end up with an NFT, yes, you can buy the $6 million banana on a wall with a bit of duct tape, or you could buy a NFT for 69 million and find it's worth 15,000. Plenty of opportunities, and that's where you run into some problems. So now we've got a couple more comments here. Yeah, look, you've got to have, the world doesn't work if the whole population of the planet was positive. Let's get that right. That's why you have the, North and South Pole, one at the top, one at the bottom. That's why you have a world of people of different backgrounds, different religions. It's a world where there is just really two pots, negative and positive. And for those that are positive, understand it, and not fussed about getting all worked up about the ability to press the button on just the trading function today. It doesn't mean that you can't take advantage of that trading proposition if you give it a chance, because you're giving a chance to others to come on board and do what you have done easily. And congratulations, if you've been able to be in that group of 2,692 people, which is fine. And bear in mind, a lot of these exchanges don't have big numbers either. Even the big ones like Coinbase are sitting on about 1.5 million active users, which is not a lot, but that's a lot of money they spend. They have $150 million in reserves for chargebacks and reversals and all sorts of things, risks. We don't want that. We're just providing a very intuitive, easy process that we can all get on with our lives. Dr. Zu can focus on fractionalization, merchants, integrating where you got instant payments, and that works because of the technology we've built and designed over these many years, which is not available. Bitcoin does 7 transactions per second. 7 transactions per second. We're talking about having 1 million to 10 million people per second trading directly with each other between wallets using Zutopia. Think about it. You will never have that in an environment on any other exchange unless they are holding the custody of your coins, which puts you in jeopardy. That is the problem. So the best thing to do is bring into play, if you have some great ideas on how you've succeeded in onboarding and got right through to the whole process with the live wallet and the live Zutopia app, and you've connected it and you can look at it and you can see that you've got listings in there that you've created and that you've tested the deletions and the editing of that, and from front to back how that's going to be, and all you're sitting there is now someone to press the button, which is what Riley will be doing, as we said, then by all means, use that experience, use that knowledge, come out of the blocks and lock in and load some of your own contacts and people that can now see, wow, if there's going to be, which there will be, the trading on those people coming in at whatever prices they want when the gates open. Because let me tell you this, everybody and anybody will be trading on Zutopia. The only person, as far as we know, that will not and has not traded even up to this point at all on Zutopia is Dr. Zoo. All right? Dr. Zoo does his own deals and will not cause any issues in relation to being on Zutopia for any conflict reasons. That will not happen. But it's open slather for everybody else. Now, whether the marketing team wants to trade on Zutopia, fantastic. Whether the accounting team or whether the legal teams or whether even the CTO, for example, our great man Robert Novak, or whether our support staff desk or Riley, if they want to trade, then they can at any time knock themselves out and participate in the Zutopian world of trading. That is a free market. That's what was created back in 1594 in Amsterdam. That was the intention, and then it got smothered with all of these balloon exercises of regulations and things in the interest of protecting people, when in fact there is no protection. It's just an on cost that's added to everybody else that pays for other people's stupidity and other people's naughtiness when it comes to this world of finance that we're seeing. If everybody on the planet, for example, treated their credit and debit cards with great respect and didn't try and shimmy the system, if there was a world of positive people that said, I respect MasterCard and Visa, and I'm going to wake up today and not be naughty. I'm not going to process a transaction on Menulog or Uber in expectation that I get the food delivery and then I say it was bad or I didn't get it, and you either get a refund or another round of food for free. If everybody stuck to the rules, then there wouldn't be these problems of banks having to refund money which comes out of your pocket, because it only comes out of shareholders or customers. You're the biggest losers. You think the bank's paying it, they're not. If you think that you get away with it because of a reversal on coins or a reversal that you put in play, which is what this is all about, to stop and make it easy for onboarding, which is what we're doing. If you think that's a great idea, think again, because all of those reversals and chargebacks are ended up in the cost pocket of a merchant. And the first thing the merchant does is increases the cost of their goods, and you pay for it again. So we're not being clever. We're just being stupid. But the real stupidity is these big companies enjoy that because they make a lot more money. They make billions and billions of dollars. I mean, Binance doesn't care about you losing coin monies. They pump and dump because they get the profits that flow in the billions. They're turning over 1.2 billion a day. Now, Zutopia is not designed for that. It's designed that you bring two parties together in good faith. The technology can get as close to perfection as possible that allows everybody equal opportunity, and that's what this is about. If you're not happy with it, buy something else. Nobody's forced anybody to buy coins, Zucoins, and nobody forces anybody to sell. This is the beauty of the free market. This is the original intention going back now 400 odd years. I mean, they must be real smart back then. It worked. You think about it. People raised money 400 years ago, were comfortable with the ownership structures and how they were trading amongst each other. And then a bunch of blokes got on a boat and went whoop whoop for 12 months halfway across the planet in an old wooden boat, went through all the things that go on about it, met some natives over there and got a few bow and arrows up their arse, came back with the spices and delivered the product. Thank goodness we don't have to do that. Thank goodness for that. There he is. Well, Timid Buddy's come out. Yes, and I'm sure that you can find the person that forced you to buy those coins for $100. $100 in hindsight with Bitcoin is one of the cheapest buys ever, even though it plummeted prior to that. It went back to close to $10. Even might have come down to $1.05. We've got some schedules of that, Timid Buddy. And when you purchase anything in relation to crypto, there's a big policy documents, there's purchase agreements. It talks about the risks. You know what you're doing. And, that's what you've done. Well, it's not down 98%, Timid Buddy, because we did have some trading when the soft launch happened. As I recall, some went through at $105. So it's timing and it's what it's doing. But that doesn't stop you from trading and creating your own market. Nobody forced you to buy. Nobody's forcing you to sell. So the last price at that price on that was at $2.05, and that's locked into the live feed. That's correct. And I'm sure one day you could find out who sold at $2.05. They might have bought them at 50 cents and have made 4 times their money. So that's the beauty of the free market. Now, I'm sure you're not suggesting, Timid Buddy, that, I'm convinced, in fact, Timid Buddy, that you're not one of these people that goes into a share market or into any other products and thinks that the free market gives you a free right of call to guaranteed prices on anything. I mean, if you've looked at the risks, that's exactly what's happened. So thank goodness you didn't buy the HOC2 coin, because that one collapsed in 48 hours and cost people $496 million. There's about $17 billion lost in the last 12 months alone on coins. And unless you sell, there is no loss. So one strategic advantage you have, Timid Buddy, is that if you decided to, with the button being pressed shortly, to buy coins, you might find that you can buy some cheaper coins and you can average down. And if that averaging comes down, then you turn into a very smart person. That's entirely your risk and your strategy and what you do. So, again, Timid Buddy, you're either come into this, and which you have done, you know the risks. The good news is you don't need to spend 50 million to get to where we are today to deliver the outcomes of what we want to see long term and the value proposition. And it may not happen. It mightn't be worth anything. It may not happen. And that's the nature of the beast. I mean, gee, Timid Buddy, where were you in 1987? I can remember a company called Forsyth Oil and Gas. The shares were trading at 3 cents, Timid Buddy, 3 cents. And as that rock and rolled and hit gold and got to 200,000 ounces, remember, 19th of October, 1997 was a really black day. One of the biggest drops in world share market since the Great Depression, 1929. And Timid, let me tell you, you probably weren't even born then, but that Forsyth stock during the course of 1986 and early 1997 went from 3 cents to $6.90. And people were happy. People were happy. In fact, Dr. Zu was happy. And then went down the road to, no one forced Dr. Zu, but he borrowed some more money and thought he'd leverage on the back of that to pay the tax bills. And boom, boom shakalaka. 19th of October. It's an amazing weekend, actually. It spilled into the Monday and the Tuesday. And the entire tax problems were gone, Timid, because the stock had collapsed back to 20 cents. But you don't go and ask somebody for a refund and all that. You know, Dr. Zu knew what he was doing. He was taking the punt. He had the risks, etc., etc. Gold was going to be a beauty because the whole world was collapsing. And it turned out everything collapsed because then people had to liquidate and there was margin selling. And a bit like today, we warned you about things. I mean, Timid Buddy, it sounds like, you know, you're lucky that you didn't buy any property in Dubai. You'd have been one of the first ones jumping from that top floor building. We'd have had you on social media. We probably would have made a few bob. But that's how it is. So either stick with the Timid Buddy, put them in a drawer, forget about them, like they did with Bitcoin. It's taken Bitcoin 17 years to fluctuate and finally hit where it is today. I mean, even now the price is okay. I think we're nudging and enjoying a price around, yes, 75,000 US dollars, despite all the turmoil that's happening. And there were many people that did their ass in Bitcoin at $1,000 and $1,500 and even as high as $10,000, and saw it all go back down. You can have a look at the charts. I'd suggest you go back and have a look at the charts for Ethereum. You probably even want to go and have a look at Solana, because that chart looks pretty gruesome. And the Peppy coin, that's done well. There's not even enough zeros and after the decimal point to cover the Peppy coin. People have done billions on the back of that, and the AV coin. So the list goes on and on. But again, Timid Buddy, their vision is different to ours. Ours is about utility. Ours is about what's been achieved with fractionalization, 32 decimals. Ours is about the free transfer of value between not just peers, more importantly, between customer and merchant, because that's the marketplace that merchants want certainty. They don't want a Timid Buddy ripping the system off and getting a refund because he's going to demand that the transaction didn't happen on his card, and all of a sudden the bank pays it, which it comes out of the pockets of shareholders and old people that have got their pensions and their superannuation and get burnt because the share price collapses with all these payouts because some clown wants to take advantage of the system. Zucoins as a fraction, Zucoins as a mechanism for safer transfer between two participants, as a mechanism for fractionalization, creating the ability for goods and services to be bought and sold, for other products to be put in play, for Zucas to come into play, is a big picture scenario. It's not worrying about Timid Buddy, thinking about, how many more pizzas you're going to get because the price has now hit $100 a coin, 105. We get it. We want to be with you, Timid. $100, for goodness sake. That doesn't even pay for the back engine of the plane at $100. Dr. Zoo needs 1,000. We've said that. And he's going to give it a fair shake. In fact, it should be 20% of it on the numbers because of the utility and what we're doing. 20% of Bitcoin means it's around $15,000 US. That's what it should be. Now we're talking. Worrying about bits and pieces, but you can't even think about that if you don't get the systems in place to bring the people on board. Now, Magnificent Pal wants an answer. Let me just address this one, guys. Magnificent Pal, could you take the time to answer my question? I'm a bit distracted by Timid at the moment, Timid Buddy, but let's see if we can answer the question. If we have a current listing on Zutopia that is sitting idle, will this stay on when the launch happens, or will the listings? No, as far as I understand, those listings are locked and loaded of those that are on there now. However, once it's turned on active, which is at any tick of the clock in the hands of the great Riley, it won't be this weekend because the boys want to sort out and have a crack at possible solution on this copy and paste between a iPhone Zucoin wallet and the Zutopia to make that finally as dumbed down as possible. But fingers crossed that they can get an answer to that. As far as I understand, all the listings are locked and loaded. When it's pressed, then it activates I believe it's the 3-hour session. That if you don't keep an eye on it or put it on active mode, then it'll drop out. And that's entirely a matter because it's going to be 24/7. And if you want to sit up in the dead of night and deal with our American compatriots, then you will need to make sure it's active at that stage. Now, if you want further clarification on that, again, despite there being 250 odd emails, and I'm not encouraging another 250 by any stretch, the boys are busy, but just send another query on that one to support@zutopia.com. That will allow them to come back with a yay or nay on that position. But I'm very comfortable that what we're seeing now and building up is giving us a great picture as to which way this is going to go with that buttons pressed. But each and every new single live onboarding that takes place is another person participating in the free market that can really accelerate the whole premise of what we want is that trading to fire up. What the price will be, it's anyone's guess. I mean, Timid, you might have another couple of months of grief to go through yet because your fellow compatriots are quite happy to trade out because they've got different prices. Alternatively, if this was Dr. Zoo, then, and remember, poor old Dr. Zoo keeps funding all this stuff, so he hasn't got much of a chance to buy anything at the moment, but we hope to turn that around as Zutopia. It's in our interest for Zutopia to explode with more and more tokens to be listed. We talk about Zoo tokens, and we talk about merchant products, goods, all that sort of stuff, and the hunting and collecting and the notifications are crucial. Without that, we wouldn't even be talking about it. The version 2 of the Zukaz app, that becomes a massive, massive database of information, anonymous, but nevertheless, information that can be on-sold, which we're talking to some participants. That generates massive rivers of wealth for Zutopia, and that can be used, as I've alluded to an earlier, Dr. Zoo, support of buying more of the Zucoins for future use of fractionalization down the road. So that's the plan. And look, Timid, we can't wait to see, $100. That'll if you had $100 worth of Bitcoin now, I don't think I've come across anybody whinging about Bitcoin. If you had $100 you'd paid back now or back then, you'd be pretty thrilled with it. You wouldn't be whinging that you could have got them for $1 or $10 or $5 in the earlier days. You'd be very comfortable with that as a risk that was taken back then. So I think I'll cover a couple more here before we wrap up today. Didn't get to share the other bits of news I was going to do because of the technology wasn't working in this little platform. We'll have the boys have a look at that. Someone's written here, I tried to make a listing to $500,000 and it wouldn't let me. Well, Dr. Zoo hasn't made a listing, so Dr. Zoo can't help you. But again, that may be to do with your KYC rather than the platform, but we shall get that position checked out. If you send a note to the Zutopia support at zutopia.com, my understanding is there's no limitations in the Zutopia platform itself. And that wouldn't have been an issue other than your KYC came back and said that you don't have enough money. That's the only thing I could think of there. Because if you could put up a major order of 10 million coins at $1 or $10 or whatever price you want, and the system would recognize that. But it'd be worth checking that out. Maybe there is a initial Stripe limit. Yeah, someone's just written here is limited to 950. So that's worth checking out because I can't give you an answer on that. I wouldn't have a clue as to why that is the case. We'll find out for sure. I'll probably post that. I'll make a call on that one and post that onto this after the conclusion of the show, which is now nearly very close to being completed. Finally, people, keep the flow of the compliance stuff happening. Lock and load. Prepare yourselves. We're just going to continue building up those numbers. As a percentage of the total of new wallets, it's pretty well line ball with what we'd expected, that you've got about 9,000 and you're getting 900 odd per or 10% of wallets on the one hand versus actual integrations into Zutopia on the other. And that gives us some scope as to our program and budgets down the road for the big marketing that we're going to lock and load. We'd like to see that number far greater. And one way to do that is to just isolate and see if we can tidy up and improve another step of the way, which is what's happening, particularly over the weekend on the iPhone. Alternatively, what we could have done, we say this in jest, but what we could have done is said to everybody, look, it works so good with Android, then throw your Apple iPhone in the shitter, go and get yourself a new Android, and if you want to play the game globally with Zutopia and Zucoins, then only have a situation where you only got an Android phone. That is the sort of things that we're confronted with when it comes to making decisions as to try and accommodate the most easiest way, because at the end of the day, there's a couple of billion people with Android phones. What the hell do we need others on if we've got that sort of clean volume of turnover and potential marketing that can come in? But having said that, there's advantages on iPhone and certainly Apple big time, which then means you've got to go through the pain barriers and you just accommodate and make it as easy as possible. The last thing Dr. Zoo ever would have thought in his lifetime in this experience is, well, he didn't think he'd be educating people on how to copy and paste from an iPhone. But it's been an enjoyable journey. Now, Jedi Master, let's just see. If something's not working and you're having difficulty, people, this is exactly the time to send your query to support@zutopia.com. If there's an issue that you won't be able to sell anything because that part of the system is not turned on. But if you're creating orders, then that's exactly what we need to know and the devs need to know, because that's all been analyzed, logged, monitored. And if you don't raise it, well, it might be the worst decision of your life because someone else might have it working. It might be to do with your phone. It could be a multitude of things. It doesn't necessarily have to be the software. And if that happens, you might be the one that misses out on the $500,000 sale and someone else picks it up and they're having a great time down there at Dallas, Texas, and enjoying, a big T-bone on your account because you missed that sale. So this is exactly why the system splits up in two parts. It gets people through the hoops. It's live, it's running, it's real, and we're not here to waste. I can assure you we're not here to waste and fool around with how that works with Stripe, right? That is something we don't want to be messing with. And we don't want people messing with it. We don't want smart asses out there and playing with it. We want you put the correct information in. If you don't put that correct information in your KYC now, I can tell you now, you'll be cut off, cut at the knees. Stripe won't be mucking around, right? You play with VPNs, you'll be cut at the knees. They have got a system upgrade in there that is very high level, and you are at the mercy of making sure you get it right. If you don't get it right, then you're in real trouble because you won't be trading and you won't be selling coins on Zutopia. You'll be setting up your own market, can assure you, because Dr. Zoo is not interested one iota in people playing games, because the idea is no risks at all, in terms of the dribble that goes on with the rest of the crypto space, or you're going to end up like Elbait. There'll be a big maintenance notice there, and you won't be able to. Well, luckily you got your own coins because we just don't have anything. It just means there wouldn't be any process on a pre-authorization for money payment, and the buyer will get their money back, and you'll keep your coins, and ta-da, that's the end of it. So it is serious stuff, people, and every thing that we do is serious and designed to tick those boxes, not be half-ass about it, and the solution being that some poor bugger's left holding the bag. Dr. Zoo ain't holding any bags, all right? That's why Dr. Zoo doesn't create any conflicts and can absolutely 100% guarantee, unlike anything else about reliance on third parties or developers or coders or marketing and all the rest of it, can say that there is not a single chance of Dr. Zoo trading and has not traded on Zutopia for that very reason. All right? He's got plenty of projects to move forward with down the road that will impact upon new products coming in. and that'll be for down the road, not for now. This is all about you guys getting the maximum returns as you can and trading freely amongst others around the world who can get on and off quickly, because it won't stop. It'll be 24/7 a day, every day, 24/7. There will be buyers and sellers, and whatever price that is, that's how it's going to be. Well, thanks everybody. Took a bit of time with that. Sorry about the intro there, because we've been playing with this new sound systems that we've got here on trying to improve, would you believe, the technology of someone else's technology on just being able to talk to you, because what we're trying to do is increasing the experience, because Dr. Zoo wants to use this particular podcast platform in a way that will allow live broadcasts a lot better and clearer with videos, etc. down the road, because we've got a lot of nice prominent people that want to come on board and they want to share their wisdoms with you. And that's why we're playing. It's best to play with this now. Who would have thought we need to reinvent some of the coding in that as well? It's extraordinary times, really, but AI, ingenious. It is doing a lot of the heavy lifting these days. Thanks, team. We shall catch up on Monday and have a full-blown report how it goes over the weekend. At this stage, those are the very happy with those activations, which are 10x to the trading before. If that means it's 10x and the numbers make sense, it's actually more than that. It's what's that? 20x. So, no, 15x rather. Take it back. 15x. If that's 15x, what that means is that the turnover on gross sales could go from you're talking about, say, 3.2 million to upwards of 35, 40 million, which gives more opportunity initially as we keep doing our job, and that's bringing more and more people easily on board, which is what our mission is. Plus, you'll enjoy the instant trading. Cheers, everybody. Take it easy.